30-06 John here. A lot of people, especially here in Alaska, use the 338 Win Mag for hunting. Hard to find ammo up here for it. I've seen multiple people trying to find ammo for it, no luck. So I'm going to be reloading this, but I'm going to gear it towards people who don't really reload or never have reloaded. Do it with a minimal amount of equipment. A lot of people use a lot of expensive equipment. I'm just going to use sort of what I consider the bare bones equipment. The first thing everyone needs is a good reloading manual. Besides having the reloading data in it, they do have sections on how to reload. Hornady is a good one. Nosler, Spear. They all have pretty good sections on step-by-step reloading. The main expense for loading is the press. This resizes the brass, seats the bullet. For something like a 338, you want a nice, strong O-type press. This is a older Pacific. I bought it, I don't know, almost 45 years ago, almost 50 years ago. Works fine. There's smaller, like a C press out there, lightweight, that Lee and Lyman and a couple other people sell. Those are probably, will bend after you use them a little bit. Also, this press has a priming arm, so you don't need a special separate tool to prime with. The next major piece of equipment is a powder scale, something to weigh the gunpowder with. Back in the day, everyone used a balance beam. Now that everyone's going to electronic scales, not too many people use a balance beam anymore. Both work. The electronic one's a little bit faster. I don't have a big expensive one. This one here is like $70. It works fine for me. Need a die set for the cartridge that you're loading for. This is a RCB. Move that closer. This is an RCBS full length die set for 338 Win Mag. It says there to use shell holder 4, and that's what we have. For the best results and to eliminate problems, always use the shell holder, same brand as the die set. So RCBS die set, RCBS shell holder. If you buy a brand new set, you should take the die apart, the resizing die. RCBS is sort of easy. This is the decapping pin and the neck sizing. You want to make sure that's clean. Inside the die set there, you want to make sure that's clean. Spray some resizing lubricant. I use this One Shot. Just make sure there's no crud inside there. The more you use the die set, that stuff builds up. You've got to clean it every so often. The decapping stem there should be sticking out about 1/4 inch. As for the brass, I'm sort of assuming that everyone has some 338 Win Mag brass. Hopefully you save it after you're done shooting or whatever. Don't throw it away. Stuff's pretty valuable. You want to make sure it's not too cruddy. I know a lot of people like to wet tumble their brass, dry tumble it. And I do clean my brass every time, but it's not critical. As long as there's not a lot of corrosion on it. This off color just means it's just off color. If you tumbled it, it would look a lot shinier. But as long as it's not like the actual corrosion on it, like the blue-green type stuff, it'll be fine. If you have a little bit of dirt on them, what I do is I just get a little bit of lighter fluid and a rag. Spray a little bit of the lighter fluid. Just wipe the cartridges down real fast. Let them dry. Let's just get some dirt off of them. If you don't want to spend the money on a tumbler, wet or dry, I understand that. When I was a kid growing up, we used to reload all the time. We never used to tumble any of our brass. You want to look at the brass, make sure there's no split necks, any undue damage to the brass. If you saved your brass and it was factory, that means it's once fired, and once fired brass really shouldn't have any damage to it. I'm going to lubricate the cases, get them ready with resizing lubricant. I like to use this Hornady one-shot. A lot of people don't like it. It's a little bit expensive, but it seems to work pretty good. What you don't want to do is not use enough lubricant and get the case stuck in the resizing die. Put the shell holder in. Take the resizing die, that's the one with the little depriming pin sticking out the bottom of it. Screw it in. This is already set up, but you want it. Oh, no, I just screwed it up. Okay. So when you run the die, when you run the ram up, you want that just to touch the bottom of the die. That's a little bit too much. It should cam over also. Just like that. Lock the die down. Yep, that's good, just like that. Put the primer catcher in there. The priming arm actually diverts the decap primers to go into the primer tray. Let's start resizing. The first one you always have to. The first one you want to be careful. Make sure it doesn't get stuck. There you go. That took a little bit of effort. Let's do another one. Yep, looks good. Going down is resizing the whole brass body. Coming back up, that tension right there, that's the decapping pin with the neck sizer. Resizing the case neck. All the brass has been resized and deprimed. A couple different things here. I like to clean out the primer pockets. Use a little primer pocket cleaning tool. This is from, I think Lee. I don't know, $10 or something. Just stick it in here a few times. Gets rid of most of the crud there. That crud sort of builds up. And you want to. Some people said it doesn't make any difference. For my own mind, I like to clean it. Now, a lot of people like to trim their brass. I only trim every 3 or 4 firings. Per the Hornady manual, Maximum case length is 2.5 inches. If I measure some of these, yeah, they're over by a thousandth or two. You know, it really ain't going to make any difference. I did check all of these. There might be a tad long, but it's not going to make any difference. It'll be fine. For primers, the Winchester 338 Win Mag uses a large rifle Magnum primer. I'll be using these CCIs. On the primer, when you seat it into the priming cup, you want to see. Let me zoom in there, see if I can zoom in on that. That's the way you want that primer in there. So you lift it up, you put a case in, press down, pull it out, take a look at it. And the primer should be just below flush. You can just fill it right there. That looks good. Before you handle primers, you want to make sure your hands are washed. You don't want to get any oil or anything on them. Just make sure it's just below flush. You get the feel there after a while. Now, if there's a primer that doesn't want to see, don't try to force it in. Find out what's going on there. You don't want to have that primer ignite. I know some people wear safety glasses when they seat their primers. Alright, all the brass is primed. It's all downhill now.